Howdy ho, friends and foes, and welcome to Dad's on Life, your weekly episodic show about parenting from a male perspective. I'm your host, Jay Miles, and with me, as always, are my co host, Keith Bogan
Hello, sir.
and Doug Hamadike.
Howdy. Ho, ho, ho.
All decked out, literally looking like a similar to Elf himself. That is probably one of the coolest things I've seen, honestly. The costume looks really, really good on you, Doug.
I have a Santa one too.
You'll wear that next week, Doug. But give us while you're speaking, so that the camera's on you. Give us more of a full body shot.
Oh, it's just the top.
Oh,
Oh, there is more. Look at that. Very nice. Got the
And,
belt and everything. Very nice. Did
yeah.
you make it yourself?
clearly, as you can tell by what Doug is wearing, we're going to be continuing a little bit more into Christmas. We were leaving off with we had just started to touch. We'd gotten into movies and things like that. We were just starting to touch on the music aspect of Christmas, and for a long time, Christmas music was dominated by country, largely most of the Christmas music, and and then the crooners, Bing Crosby, things like and others like that. That was the 1950s, 60s, and then you had the 70s. Kind of it moved into it with productions of songs, especially like country kind of bass songs, like "Grandma Got Ran Over by a Reindeer," things like that. And then you had we touched on Bob Geldof and the release of "Do They Know It's Christmas." There's, like I said, there's something funny about that song in an interview. Bob Geldof told Jim Kerr of Q104 he despises that song. He cannot even listen to the thing, and went on a 20-minute diatribe about how much he hates it. Similar to Zeppelin saying they couldn't stand Stairway to Heaven after a while. But Do They Know It's Christmas brought on, it was done for charity, and it brought on this new movement that started where you had every artist, a lot of the artists in the world, a lot of pop artists, rap artists with get involved in the very special Christmas records. I think there was 4 or 5 of them. Then it was, rock artists were putting out, and rap artists, and everybody was doing different things for Christmas music. There was like a new movement into Christmas. Doug, if you still can hear me, you want to take it from here? I apparently have to take a phone call.
Sure. I don't know what happened there. Yeah, I was just thinking about, I guess, if we're going to continue talking about music, and they were talking on Sirius on Little Steven's Underground was talking about too about Paul McCartney and his Christmas song and how he did the live concert over at the Sirius studios there, and what care he took with all the kids, because they're saying that he actually did like a 2-hour warm up, and then he brought in all the like 40, 50 kids to sing along with him, and how much time he took to work with each of the kids and divide them up into musical groups, for different octaves, and work through with each one of them. And they were talking about how much time he spent with each one of them. I thought it was really cool that they said that he spent like 6 hours like doing this concert between the warm up, greeting all the kids, working with the kids and their singing abilities and all that. And I thought that was pretty cool. Another story that they were also talking about was about meeting with like Darlene Love and stuff, and getting them together for Christmas Vacation, and the songs that were done on that soundtrack, and just how they all got together. Well, like Steven Van Zandt, how influential and all he was with putting that together, and
Right.
that was a great story that they told on there too. So it's cool when you start to find out about different musicians and the time they put in, and different people getting together to put this all together. And like you were saying about the other one, what a great charity event it was, which was, a brilliant idea, that was well done back then. Like people love that stuff. We don't really see much of that still going on, I don't think, unless there's a large tragedy lately. I can't think of another like telethon thing that has gone on. But then again, not as many people watch traditional television anymore either. So, I mean, that could be a part of the cutoff there. But as far as new artists go on, and I know you mentioned too about like some of the history between, you were saying, the country music and different soul acts that went on and did stuff. A lot of R&B, jazz artists all came out and did Christmas songs back in the 50s and 60s.
A lot of alternative artists have done it. Rogue Wave, things like that have done them over the last few years.
But a lot of them, yeah, I was just gonna say a lot of them I find don't stick, or they aren't done very well, but they're pushed out. But nowadays, some of my JD McPherson put out an album called Christmas Socks, and it's a real rhythm and blues type album. Picks up a lot of the sounds that we heard in the 50s and 60s by like the Darlene Love, Phil Spector, like wall sound idea. And it's friggin' awesome, his new album. And the other one I was going to say is Sharon Jones put out a great Christmas album too. And
Right.
she's just got a powerful, soulful, booming voice. One quickly climbing up my charts as a new favorite is that Bob Dylan, Must Be Santa, man. That's a great friggin' tune,
Yeah, I've heard that one.
Yeah, that one. Yeah, really quickly.
The country artists, I'll tell you the truth. I think that the newer country artists have struggled over the last few years with some of the Christmas albums they've put out because, how can I put this? I'm not going to put this politely. They've cut the balls off a lot of the stuff that they've been doing, because I mean, it took a certain amount of chutzpah to do a Christmas song back in the day, and you had to have some. You either had to be really campy, or you had to just kind of go way off the radar. And now they're taking some of these and remaking them, and they're very, very bland. Some of them downright awful. Casey Musgraves, who is a pretty well-known younger country singer, did Feliz Navidad, probably one of the more popular Christmas songs in the world ever, and just destroyed it over this year. And it seems like the rock artists now have a little bit, and other artists like alternative artists, some of the older artists that are still around, like even Mariah Carey still has a certain credential for Christmas. Celine Dion, things like that, people like that. But the rock artists have really kind of stepped it up over the last few years again. Dave Grohl did. Obviously, Dave got very, very bored during the pandemic, because not only did he do a whole bunch of Christmas and Hanukkah songs, recorded an album during the pandemic. So, I mean, this is actually one of the kind of sort of blessings of being stuck where we are, is the abundance of creativity in a lot of around the world. I mean, everybody is, since they're sitting home and can't tour, they're going, all right, let's write this, let's write that. There's a lot of good music coming out recently. And Christmas, like I said, it's been more this year, the last couple of years have been more the rock artists and who have stepped up and kind of said, well, here you go. And it just seems like now they're able to do it, because maybe it's part of getting a little more creative freedom. Plus, you have, like you said, Sirius and other satellite radio sources and YouTube and things like that. Another thing that has helped kind of rebuild Christmas sales when it comes to music and other religious holidays is Amazon and now defunct iTunes, Apple Music, being able to buy the individual songs instead of buying the records.
And about time too.
Yeah, because you can go out and buy, pick and choose if you like 3 songs on the original Very Special Christmas. If you like the Run DMC song, the Tom Petty was the second one, Bryan Adams and the Pointer Sisters, you could take those 3 songs. You don't have to buy the whole album now. I think that has helped, especially like I said with the sales of certain Christmas music. Now, here, one of the middle of the road kind of soft rock stations, Magic 98.3, I used to work for that company.
Really?
They used to, what?
I didn't know you worked there.
Well, I didn't work for Magic. I worked for CTC. CTC is the same company.
I didn't know that.
They were in the same building. CTC and MGQ. We share a building. But Magic usually waits until Black Friday to go to all. They started in the beginning of November. A couple of the stations, and one of the New York stations started in the beginning of November, going all Christmas as well. So it was an early change this year too. Maybe it's because of the fact that there was so much new Christmas music that came out this year. I don't know. Keith, for me, I know that there's one thing that my wife is Jewish. My kids are half. My in-laws. My mother-in-law is. I'm not sure she's changed her radio from the Christmas channel on Sirius XM since it came on. She is a huge Christmas music fan. Not the kind of Christmas music that I usually listen to or play in the house, but she's heavily into Christmas music. We decorated the tree this year. I'll tell you the truth. I had 2 records and one thing on my iPod. I don't dig on traditional Christmas music. I never really did. I like a couple of the more traditional songs, but the 3 albums that I played as we decorated were A Very Twisted Christmas, which is the Twisted Sister reworked Christmas albums, which ironically the lead singer of Twisted Sister, Dee Snider, is actually a classically trained singer. He was classically trained in school, and actually has a background in opera. There's also another story about him was he wrote a Christmas song and his manager said, "Wow, that's really good," and put his real name on it and sent it to Celine Dion. Celine Dion called the manager and said, "This is a great song. Can we have it?" They're like, "Yeah." He calls Dee and don't tell her it's me. Don't tell her it's me. Well, they were at some function and Dee walked over to her. And the first thing he said was, "How do you like my song? How do you like my Christmas song?" She looked at him and said, "What?" He goes, "I wrote blah, blah, blah." She goes, "No, you didn't." He goes, "Yeah, I did." He goes, "It's my song." She's like, "I love it." She goes, "It was fantastic. You did a great job. Thank you."
But she made all the money from it.
Oh, no. He made a good amount. He made a good amount as a writer. You got to remember, he wrote it. So he made a lot on that song. He got a percentage, probably a chunky one of that song.
So it wasn't "Can I have it?" It was "Can I sing it?"
No, yeah. He wasn't going to sing it. It wasn't for him. He knew that. He wrote it. He wrote it ironically, he wrote it with a woman's voice in mind. And it just so happened that the voice ended up being Celine Dion. The other one was Mr. Hankey's
Yes.
Christmas special. And then the third one was Jackie Naylor, who's who's a jazz singer who her band, which is run by her husband, reworked a bunch of classic rock tunes into jazz, which they're famous for. And she put the Christmas lyrics over it. One of them was Santa Claus is Coming to Town to Sweet Home Alabama. Another one was Santa Baby, which is interesting to actually see her sing live because she is a very attractive woman. And it was very interesting to watch her sing that the way she sang it. She put that over the music to Jamaica from Led Zeppelin. So that was pretty much our Christmas listening for the tree and for decorating.
Yeah, I have an awesome Spotify playlist that I keep, adding to it and stuff. And even last night, like you were saying, with the Dee Snider Twisted Sister one that came on during dinner last night. My wife was like, "That's Twisted Sister." I was like, "Yes, it is." But also a different way to express music, sometimes good, sometimes bad, is I have a folder called Dirty Christmas, and there's a couple songs in there that I can't share with the kids or anything. But I had Brendan, my oldest, like, "Here, one or two," and he like right away went and told mom on me, you know. But some of it's done really well, some of it's just piss poor, terrible. And SNL always had a hand in Christmas specials, and there's a lot of them that make us laugh that we didn't really talk about or touch. Is that the comedy value of Christmas, and even like Bob Hope, going to the troops, or the Honeymooners, and stuff, and how comedies played a big part of Christmas too.
Right. Parody singers. Bob Rivers. Bob Rivers has made a career. Who's a DJ in LA, made a career on putting, similar to Dr. Demento, but he actually, just writes parody songs, Christmas parody songs, takes usually heavy metal and puts, the Christmas lyrics to it, like I Am Santa Claus to the music of Iron Man. And there's another one that I saw recently, Santa Claus, a guy singing about a Christmas song over the music of Dragula from Rob Zombie. That came out over the last few years, I believe. Keith, I mean, you're not oblivious to the aspect. I know that kind of stuff wouldn't be played in your house usually, but
au contraire. Quite the opposite now, not necessarily recently, but I've been a big fan of Christmas music for many years now. Mind you, I'm not a big fan of a lot of the more recent remakes by any means. I could care less about the popular singers doing their own covers on Christmas. Bruce Springsteen has one that's very popular. I kind of like that. But
he's got a couple. Yeah, Santa Claus is Coming to Town, and
I'm all about the classics, if you ask me. And I've been listening to that stuff for years. When MGQ started doing the 24 Hours of Christmas years ago, I would have that like on in the house all the time. I don't think I've ever told you that, despite my lineage of being a man of the Jewish faith, I grew up with a Christmas tree.
No, you didn't tell me that. You haven't said that.
I've actually, for 30 years in Homedale, we would always put up a tree that you would call a Christmas tree, except obviously we weren't religious in that way. It was just, as my father used to say, something that looked nice, so we'll put it up.
Well, my in-laws would would jokingly call it a Hanukkah bush.
Right. And we would do a holiday gift of exchange on December 25th, but we didn't care that it was December 25th.
Right.
And we would light a electric menorah. It wasn't like we were doing anything that was really serious of any kind. In a more recent fashion, by the way, you will recall that I drove to Denver and I left on December 29th. And I bring this up because I would stay for several hours of the trip out to Denver that was actually on the 30th. I caught a station somewhere in the Midwest that was all Christmas music on September 30th. And that's what I listened to for like 4 hours in a row. Pure Christmas, not even any DJ, just the Christmas music. It was hysterical.
That
So
was that most likely would have been a voice track. They just that's a system that's all they do is basically it's either voice tracked or they just put the log. What this new systems are is the log comes up, and these computers are set up that it just you plug the log in and drop it in, and it runs if nobody's in the building, nobody even has to be in the building. Just make sure the feeders are up. And it just runs repeatedly over and over and over again, goes through the 6 or 7 channels, whatever it is, and just goes and goes and goes and goes and goes constantly until the next shift comes in to turn it off. And that's how that works.
It was just fun. It was the middle of the day. I will remember the sun was up when I was listening to it. But I'll listen to it almost any time of the year. Now, I probably wouldn't listen to countless hours. And the fact that it was September 30th and I listened to like 4 hours of it when the mountain ranges would allow me to hear it was more laziness than anything. I just didn't feel like you were reaching for the buttons. But, and it was, it was a novelty because, when you start hearing it somewhere around November 15th and then it's every freaking day, I don't know how anybody works a retail job. I swear to God, I don't know how anybody works a retail job and listens to that constantly every day. I would take a shotgun to that stuff. I love it, but I couldn't do it all day long.
Our office used to pump out a Muzak version of Christmas music, and we finally had this speaker turned off over our heads, and then eventually they just stopped doing it. But it was terrible, and the reel that it was on, that it was only like, I don't know, maybe like a 2-hour clip or something before it repeated itself. And if you're going to be there for 8 hours, like, oh my God.
We had we used to pipe in the station. We would pipe in the 2 stations through the building, and there were switches that you could switch back and forth. Well, 90% of the time, I would say a good majority of the channels, unless you were going through producer and host row by CTC, would be flipped over to MGQ. And then the holiday season would come. And within the first 2 days, 90% of them were, except for pretty much the ones right over MGQ, or unless somebody really liked Christmas music in one part of the building, which usually they'd even get tired of it, 90% of them were flipped to WCTC until the holiday was over, and then they'd flip back. That's how that worked. It was not easy working holiday season for that month and sometimes a little bit more in WCTC and WMGQ. It was some of the faces, because the other thing is, it was also that WMGQ wasn't playing any of the more newer songs. I don't think MGQ, unless it was put out by Mannheim Steamroller or maybe Trans-Siberian Orchestra,
which
was putting them out. What'd you say, Keith?
I love Trans-Siberian Orchestra. Oh God, that's great stuff.
Honestly, that would be one thing that I really would be interested in going to. That I probably would be just me and you, because Elise can't stand instrumental music like that, especially when it comes to loud guitars. So that would probably just be us, or if Doug wanted to come over and bring the kids with him, we could all probably go together, because obviously, with no lyrics in the music, there's no cursing.
But,
But that is one unfortunate, and we've actually been able to keep it a little bit light today, but unfortunately, that's one tragedy of the pandemic this year is with TSO. Q104 does one benefit concert every year with the Trans-Siberian Orchestra, and they do it for God's Love We Deliver, which is a charity organization that helps, several different causes. Unfortunately, can't do it this year because we're in pandemic time. So it's pretty much, they probably will still reach their goal. At least I hope they will. But there's a big makeup that they've got a big chunk of a makeup that they make for that concert that they've got to make up this year. It's going to be very difficult for them. But no, as I was saying, MGQ really doesn't play any of the modern stuff, and they very rarely even play TSO. Maybe now they do because they've gone a little bit more progressive. But there's been some interesting changes of what some of these stations have been playing since other stations have closed in their arrangements of music. Like one of the 1015 was 101 101.1 CBS FM. As soon as PLJ shut down, basically became PLJ, including hiring two of they had one, hired another, and their playlist became more modern. Now they're playing what they play they mix in a good selection of Christmas music, and their Christmas choices have also progressed as well. So they're getting out there now. Some of these artists and these songs, these Christmas songs. But yeah, you mentioned Springsteen. Springsteen's got 3 or 4, 2 or 3 I could think of off the top of my head. He did actually make although it wasn't originally intended for that, his Merry Christmas Baby did make the first A Very Special Christmas. But yeah, I mean, and that kind of brings me to the next point of we were talking about traditions. We talked about how things are going to be modified. What we didn't talk about was in that modification, what are you going to do? We didn't talk about, what we usually do with traditions of food and what we're going to do this year. Keith, I mean, I know you handled Hanukkah. You probably handle it obviously you did similar to what you did for Hanukkah or Thanksgiving, pretty much just sitting home and hunkering down, which is smart. I will bring you food if you want me to. But like Doug, I know you're a big cooker, obviously, home cook. So I mean, I know you probably would be volunteering, but since you're not, what's your battle plan look like?
Well, first I was gonna maybe we'll come back to music in the end, but it's funny because you guys were just like laughing. I thought it was funny when you came on and saw my outfit. I have a lot of people that come down the side street that I'm standing on outside, and they're like waving and smiling at me. And it just dawned on me at like the 5th or 6th car. I was like, it's because I'm dressed like a freaking elf. I'm like, that's why they're freaking.
I had a feeling because I saw the look on your face once or twice, and I'm kind of going, he's just figuring out that he's wearing that, isn't he? That's great. That really just made the show right there.
How did you not know? I mean, seriously.
Yeah, I think he knew because his head is probably the top of his head is probably sweating, and he's probably got sweat dripping down. He's probably going, "The hell, it's fucking 10 degrees. Why am I sweating?"
Oh God. So yeah, no, we're gonna be home, and my brother is coming with his clan, and possibly, like we were saying, my parents are talking about making the trip up as well. And it'll start at our normal time of waking up and getting things together, although we've been prepping everything the night before lately.
Right.
We're always a big Christmas Eve family, just so that everybody could come up, spend their time, rush home, and do whatever they need to do, before the next for Christmas Day, and their kids basically, getting them to bed and giving yourself plenty of time to medicate and wrap. So yeah, my brother said that he's going to do the apps, which was great. So we got some basic ones, just pigs in a blanket and cheese and crackers and shrimp cocktail, and we'll let him do the rest. He's awesome at that.
I'm getting hungry just
And
listening to this.
so yeah, I mean, he made like for Thanksgiving like rice balls and all kinds of great calzones and stuff.
Oh,
He
you
brought
mean
them.
the arancita?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
Yeah,
I love those.
with the risotto, yeah, and the peas and the little meat inside and all. Yeah,
Yeah, arancita. Oh,
but he's actually a real chef, for
brother?
as a yeah as a
Really?
job. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
So we're planning on the dinner, which will be a very interesting mix of. We went yesterday to the Polish deli, and we picked up 3 rings of kibasi, and we went out and got our sauerkraut and our pierogies and all that. So we'll be putting that on the table next to my grandmother's pot roast.
Ooh.
So we're gonna do the pot roast. We also went to the butcher and got this 7-pound eye round that was beautifully cut and all. So me and my wife were just
Wipe and
talking
drool,
about
by the way.
me and my wife were just talking about the sides to make with it, what goes well with it and all. Because my parents and all, they're pretty basic, and it's like you got to cook to your audience. So I was like pulling out some of these awesome like sides, and I was like quinoa with roasted vegetables, and she's like, "Yeah, who's gonna eat that?" I was like, ah. So we tested out yesterday the 3 cheese spinach. So it's like a creamed spinach, but it has like mozzarella and I don't know, a cup of Parmesan cheese in it and stuff. So that worked well, but it tightened up too much, I think, because of the Parmesan cheese. I think I got to
Frozen,
figure out
frozen
some way to
spinach or
cook that.
fresh?
What's that?
Frozen spinach or fresh?
It said frozen spinach, chopped frozen.
Okay.
So, I don't know how it would work with real spinach, but I'm seeing what you're saying. It would add moisture to it.
Yeah, because usually you defrost the frozen spinach, right? And then you drain it.
Freeze
So
it,
you're
yeah.
taking you'll get the liquid, more liquid out of it if you use the fresh.
Right. Yeah, I could see now where you're going with that. I didn't think of that when I initially made it. But yeah, that's pretty much in a nutshell. We moved everything up, so we'll be going to 2 o'clock mass. So
Oh, good. Okay.
be that, and they'll make our Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. We usually go to Heather's sister's house, so I assume besides spinach dip that we'll be bringing, it'll probably be like ham or something. But we'll see what goes on there.
Okay. Like for us, Christmas Eve actually isn't changing all that much. Very little. I won't mention a number. Um, but it isn't going to change much. A couple of people aren't coming just because they actually one of them really doesn't show up very often anyway. But it's going to be smaller, but we're going to, and my sister really is going to do more hors d'oeuvres. She mentioned a couple of things that she's going to do already. She has a seafood place that she goes to, that in Neptune, that she gets, she likes to get her shrimp there and scallops there. She's going to do a couple of different things with that. She's already put in an order for that. I've been requested to make crawfish pie again this year.
Oh,
Yeah. Keith knows exactly what that is. I made it for one of his parties one year, and I don't think there was much of it left within like 20 minutes. And that usually happens at my sister's as well, especially if my father's going to be there. So I actually usually end up getting 2 packages of frozen crawfish tails. The other one is usually ends up being for the week of my birthday, so that I can make one for myself and actually have a second piece. We don't get second pieces at my sister's house with the crawfish pie. And then Christmas Day, right now, the morning of is still up in the air. But it is my side of the family's holiday, because my wife and family are Jewish. So that's kind of up to me, besides doing presidents, and my parents will come over and things like that. But other than that, I mean, I might make a Dutch baby pancake with apples for breakfast, which will be something new. And then for dinner, Christmas night, we would usually end up going to a Chinese buffet. That's because it just, until this year, I had I've been through some personal stuff this year, and besides from the fact of, I don't think any of them are open this year. My mother-in-law said, well, we could just order Chinese. And then I said, you know what? I sat there and thought about it. I said, no, I don't want to do that. And decided that we're actually going to have Christmas dinner here for the first time. Something that I hope, whether it's my in-laws, maybe next year if we get renovations that we plan on having done, could be a lot bigger than that next year. But right now, this year, I actually went out and got ended up being bigger than I had asked for. It's probably ended up being about 6 pounds. So it's going to take forever to cook. I have a Berkshire pork chop roast that I'm going to keep whole and roast it on the grill at low temperature. I might make, I'm pretty much going to do everything. Dessert, I'm going to figure out probably tomorrow or Tuesday, and make Thursday night, most likely. So that's set up and done, because I want to make one of the sides that I want to make has to be baked as well. Hold on one second. Hold that thought. Somebody pick it up.
I was just thinking about, while we were talking about this, about traditions, and I talked about what we do now, but as a kid, I just had these fond memories of on Christmas Eve going to my Uncle Al's house. My mom is one of 11, so there's a lot of kids. So between my aunts and uncles, and then them having kids, and most of them have large families, we'd all squeeze into my uncle's house in Avenel, and we'd meet there, and he would throw this grand party with tons of food and stuff. And they started with the kibasi and all that. Always had to be kibasi and sauerkraut and my Uncle Al's thing, and stuffed cabbage and sausage and peppers and potatoes. And you just walk in there and smell all that roasting. And as soon as you walk through the door, it would just hit you. And he always had a huge Christmas tree, and always had to be white and gold. So everything on his tree is white and gold. And he had one of those velvet paintings on the wall of the Duke next to it, and I always remember that.
Oh, you mean John Wayne?
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah. And downstairs in the basement, he had actually a bar, But I remember driving there, and it was always dark in there, coming down Inman Ave, and there was a tree there, and these people wrapped this tree like, and the tree, I don't know how freaking tall it was, and I could never imagine how they got those lights up there like that. But actually, the owner was a bucket company, so he had the bucket trucks do it. And just as a kid, remember seeing all those lights on this tree was amazing. And then to tap off the night, we'd wait for my Uncle Pete to call from California, and everybody would get on the phone with my Uncle Pete and say Merry Christmas and all. And going home, we'd stop there at White Castle and pick up White Castle to go home at like midnight on Christmas Eve.
My favorite restaurant. Yay.
Yeah, I know that's your favorite restaurant, Keith. We went there once, didn't we? Once or
Mhm.
twice, I think we've been to White Castle. And it's funny. I know last couple of years, this is off topic, but White Castle's actually become popular, so popular that they started doing Valentine's Day a couple of years ago. So, but yeah, no, there's been. I'm gonna do a couple other things, like I might make a potato cake, which needs to be baked as well. Amongst other things, probably some crab stuffed shrimp, things like that. There'll be no need for anything like White Castle after I'm done with everybody. But yeah, hopefully this is the beginning of something new. That's my plan, at least. Because it's just part of it is, don't want to admit this, but the Chinese buffet that they usually go to kind of skews me out a little bit. So and then maybe next year I'll try to do, maybe if they want to do Chinese, maybe I'll surprise them and throw some Chinese dishes at them. Actually, I had seen something at a meat market that I like to go to. They actually had a Peking duck that they're selling, a whole Peking duck. And I'm like, should I go that route? I really thought about it pretty hard, but I was like, you know what? No, this year I think maybe I should go with the pork. So I ended up going with the pork.
You do bring up an interesting point, Jason, and that is that those of my tribe are going to be in total disarray this December 24th, because there will be almost no Chinese restaurants to go to and no movie theaters to go to.
Right.
And that's what we do on that day.
we did it. We did it. I was we went to a movie a couple of times. We went to see Les Mis on Christmas Day one year. A couple other things we've done, but the Chinese buffet usually was one thing that we would always do.
What are you doing to that poor dog?
In this case, we're not doing that this year.
What are you doing to that poor dog?
Elise just came in with the groceries, so I had to grab him by the leash so he didn't run out, by the collar so he didn't run out. But yeah, no, we went to see Les Mis more than a couple of years ago, probably about 10 years ago on Christmas Day. Christmas Day this year, we're going to actually, there's a couple of movies coming out as well. Soul, Wonder Woman 1984. There's a few other ones that are coming out, so we'll try to hopefully get through all of them.
You're actually going to go to a movie theater?
No. Soul comes out on Disney Plus, and Wonder Woman 1984 comes out in HBO Max. Which, if you can get a free thing, we'll try to get through both the Wonder Womans as well this week. Now that I think about it, it's this week. It snuck up on us so fast.
Death to the movie theaters.
No, that won't be the case, because you're going to have a lot of these, when the pandemic is over, you're going to have a lot of these go to premium. And they're going to try to make money that way as well. They're not going to be free. They're going to do it through premium, and it's going to fail.
HBO Max, they're putting them all out.
But there probably will be a premium for them. You're probably going to have to pay to see them on the first day on the day they were released.
Well, regardless,
I know Disney Plus kind of learned their lesson, sort of,
Yeah,
with Mulan, but I get
yeah,
a feeling that once the theater is reopened, that's going to change as well.
yeah.
They won't be free on the services.
One of the
And
things
I
that
totally understand why they have to charge, but most people like me won't pay.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. It'll probably in some cases to see them, it'll end up being cheaper than going to the theaters to do it here if they charge go back to charging premiums.
one of the things here that we had to explain to Brendan, we were talking about a controversy, which wasn't a controversy that got people up in arms, was the baby It's Cold Outside. And the one that,
Oh,
I
yeah,
finally heard it for the first time a couple of weeks ago. I'd never heard the song.
oh, really?
Yep.
Wow.
And now I've heard it twice in 2 weeks.
Yeah, it wasn't really a controversy. I mean, and then all of a sudden it exploded because the older people were like, they can't take our Christmas songs away from us.
you're talking about the What's in This Drink line, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So John Legend, which people refuse to listen to, they're like, oh, he's taking this out and all, and he's changing the song. And he did a song, Baby It's Cold Outside, to the same tune of, the original, and it has the same exact sentiments. But dude, his is, if you actually listen to the lyrics, is so freaking funny, you know? Like, I don't know if you heard it, but the John Legend version is hands down great as well, because she's like saying that she has to go home, her parents will be worried. And he's like, baby, how old are you? Why do you still live with your parents? Like, and stuff. It's, I thought it was a great redo. Although a lot of people are mad. They're like, oh, they're trying to take Christmas and they're changing, tradition and all, like, we can't play this on the radio. But we do know what you can't play on the radio now, you know, but whatever.
Well, thank God that's gone down a little bit with that kind of thing this year. That controversy didn't have the legs weren't very great on it last year.
Nah.
So thank God that's we can move on from that.
Controversy on that song really in 2019, or was it this year?
No, that was last year. There's a couple other ones that there were controversies on as well. I can't remember exactly what all of them were, but there was about 5 of them that had some kind of things going on with them.
Yeah, I think
now that I've heard the whole thing, I'm rather that it became a thing.
Yeah, now you're seeing the one about the Pogues. So everybody, with the BBC cotton getting rid of that song with Christy McCall. So Fairy Tales
of New York.
Yeah. So
I'm surprised that they haven't gone after the Dropkick Murphys for theirs yet.
Yeah, that's a good one too. But yeah, along the lines that I was going to end with, but yeah, one of the things I was going to say, Eminem honors Jug Band Christmas, man. The Bottom River Midnight Band song, that's a freaking awesome Christmas tune. It's right up there with Die Hard being a Christmas movie.
Oh, I remember another one of the controversies was Rudolph for exclusion. That was another one.
But it's interesting, you can't find Rudolph on the friggin' Fire Stick.
Really? Oh, yeah. the movie, yeah.
Yeah, all the Rankin Bass movies are on there except for that one.
Really?
Yeah. So I had to pull out the box set of DVDs to, play that one. Yeah, I'm just like trying to wonder about like some of the movies that like you can't find on Fire Stick. And I'm like, are they purposely holding it back from us, or is there a reason? Because the other one we were looking at put on was Better Off Dead, and that one's not on Fire Stick either.
I guarantee it's not there. There's a reason. There's a big reason.
because all the other John Hughes movies are on there, except for that one. That's the only one that you can't get. So very annoying. But yeah. So yeah, I mean everything else I have I was going to talk about goes back to movies.
You can go back to it. We this was gonna be. I mean, go back to it. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just saying that me and the family have been watching a lot of the classic movies, like we were saying last week, with A Wonderful Life, like The Bishop's Wife, the original Scrooge, The Bells of St. Mary. They were all
Right.
made around the same time. They were done by excellent actors. They had songs in them, very meaningful stories, all about change and all, and the time, how the holiday spirit can change people. And they were all had a religious theme about them. And I just thought they were like excellent movies. And, we've been keeping that tradition with family sitting down, watching, holiday movies and stuff like that. And like just the singing and the acting and all, like in like A White Christmas and stuff, were also great as like musicals. But I don't know really. I mean, nowadays, mostly everything is taken off into, well, ones that are popular have taken off into comedy once again, which is great. Like, Christmas Vacation and Your Elf. And I just saw this year for the first time Fred Claus, which wasn't so
The one
terribly
with
bad.
Vince Vaughn and
Yeah.
Paul Giamatti.
Yeah. So, and you got your Christmas Chronicles, So,
That wasn't too bad. That
yeah.
wasn't too bad. Um, there was one that came out this year. I can't remember what it was. At least what was the one with?
Chronicles 2?
No, not the one with Russell. With Kurt Russell. The one with that had Key in it.
Jingle Jangle.
Jingle Jangle.
How was that? Yeah.
It was okay. It had a.
Very positive message.
It was a there was a very positive message to it. There was one interesting aspect of it that it was very similarly done to The Wiz. If you catch my drift.
All right.
Yeah, but it definitely was well done. A ton of singing. It was to the point of literally it was like they'd finish a song and it was like, oh, they're singing again. But yeah, there's the comedy aspect, and then there's the which I've got to start to wonder how the heck they come out with so many of them. I mean, it's the same storyline every time, but how do they produce so many Hallmark and Lifetime Christmas movies in 1 year? I mean, and because a lot of them are new, so how do they, especially now, how do they do that in the middle of a pandemic? I'm not making fun of them. I'm saying, how did they film that many movies when they were supposed to be quarantining?
Turn around with masks and spit bottles.
And I don't know if you remember, Jason, like a lot of the cartoons when we were kids, like Yogi Bear's First Christmas.
Yeah.
And stuff of that sort. Well, I already said like Emmett Otter's Jug Band Christmas and Mickey's Christmas Carol and stuff. And those are movies that we've been showing our boys as well. That, those were a bunch of the cartoons that I loved when I was a kid, and all the Hanna-Barbera Christmas ones, because they also did like the Jetsons, they also did the Flintstones and all. So yeah, they had all Christmas specials for all those too.
Delana had the Mickey Christmas on the recorded on the DVR for a while. That was on there for a couple of years.
She still watches it.
And Elise said she still watched it.
Once Upon a Christmas.
Mickey's Once Upon a Christmas. Yeah. Twice Upon a Christmas. There's two of those. This year they've re-released, which we haven't sat down and watched. Maybe eventually we will the next couple of days. The Lego, they did Star Wars Christmas redone in Legos. So I got to check. Hopefully we'll check that out. Because I mean that's another one that I guess it's because it was just so friggin' bad. The original Star Wars Christmas is extremely hard to find anywhere. I don't know why, but it's one of those things that it's just maybe it's just like I said because it was that bad. But yeah, I mean, I honestly I think that now with once they get back to being able to, and now they've started to get back to it, to having a filming schedule. I have a feeling that next year you may see Disney themselves get in on the act of doing a bunch more Christmas specials and things like that. I'm not so sure HBO Plus will do that, or the HBO company will do that, but I think Disney as a whole definitely will probably get back on get to doing more of those this year. They've been doing. I know they've done Minions. Minions has been done. That's not Disney, but they did Frozen. They've done a couple other ones that. But I have a feeling you're going to see Disney do a lot more of that. They may have been planning on it this year, but with the shutdown, it was probably hard to do. A lot of the shows that they have put out, like things like The Mandalorian, they were finished totally before the pandemic started. So I mean, hopefully different. We'll have some different new stuff to look forward to next year. Anybody else have anything to add before we begin to wrap this up?
Yeah, just oh, sorry. We're all believers, but my son Colin, I just wanted to say, he still actually believes. So I wonder how long we'll carry this on. That how long will he go before he realizes, and who will spill the beans and how? But other than that, no. Have a great week.
Maybe he just doesn't want to believe anything else, and he'll be perfectly fine keeping his beliefs. Doesn't matter what people say in front of him. That sounds like a lot of birds.
Birds or a truck?
Motorcycle.
Motorcycle. Okay. Sounded like an engine to me.
I must say, I must get back to some kind of semblance of paying attention to the holidays, not just for me, but for the kids. When I was married, my wife she would decorate the house. Lots of blue stuff like crazy. And there was a pretty healthy amount on this level, a little bit in the bedrooms, but mostly on the main level of the house. And then she took a good deal of most of the decorations with her, went to a different place. But I still have some. And then last year, it was my first year alone. So I kind of just got used to that. And then this year I was kind of going to do something. So I didn't do anything this year either. But I think maybe next year I'll get back to that and we'll start paying attention to some stuff. My kids don't have a whole lot of they don't seem to have a whole lot of interest in the Christmas movies. But maybe it's time to start suggesting that, because I know I can get their girlfriends to pay attention and bring them into the fold using that method.
Now, are their girlfriends of a different faith, Keith, or?
Yes.
They are. Okay.
So neither one is Jewish.
Okay. So it's the same exact thing that like I am, like my situation.
There is a potential for a mix.
Okay.
I don't think any of either my sons or their girlfriends have much interest in any religion at all. But that's why Christmas movies are perfectly fine around here, because they don't carry, it's more about faith than it is about religion. It's more about, as Doug said, the expectation of things, positive things happening and brighter futures and things like that. The Miracle on 34th Street, to me, is not a religious movie at all. Even
No,
though people think
no. And that's a good thing. That I mean, I when it comes to things like that, you have to be. I feel like being open-minded to the possibility of marrying someone of a different faith or being with someone of a different faith, and having aspects of everything in your life of any religion you belong you are is a positive thing. We clearly have at point I'm sitting here thinking that really it's unbelievable that it's December 20th to me. And this year is gone. It is totally within the next 12 days. We're going to be into a new year. And as I've said, we start to look forward to getting things back to a sense of what we used to know as normal. There clearly is going to be a new norm because the old ways of what things were like before, it's going to take quite a while before we get fully back to what we were used to then.
if we ever get back there at all.
I think we will, for the most part. We'll be back. Things will be back to normal. It won't be soon. I think it could take another year before it's fully 100% back to normal, depending on how things progress with the vaccines and things like that, and how the fighting of this pandemic goes over the next few months. The only thing we can really do is look forward to the new year, look forward to changes that are coming, look forward to things being better. A better year, a better future, a better tomorrow, a better everything than what we've been through this year. As they say, onward and upward. So, ladies and gentlemen, for all of us here at Dads on Life, we first say happy holidays, everybody. Merry Christmas, happy Kwanzaa, happy everything that you celebrate. Merry Festivus, happy Festivus, whatever you want to say. From all of us here at Dads on Life, take care, everybody.
Be good.
Merry Christmas.